If you're thinking about moving to the suburbs of Philadelphia, you need to know these 5 things before you even think about moving here. Hi there, I'm Corey Benhart, your Philadelphia suburb realtor, and I specialize in helping people just like you move to the great state of Pennsylvania, and more specifically the suburbs, to help find their perfect Pennsylvania home. All of my contact information is below, and the first thing that you need to know before moving here is that the suburbs are made up of 4 different counties, all surrounding Philadelphia, with a total population of 2.6 million people just in those 4 suburbs. And that population is almost just about double what the population of the entire city of Philadelphia is. From all of the people that I have helped move to the Philadelphia metro area, I've noticed that the word suburbs means a lot of different things to different people. Some people would consider the suburbs as living right on the outskirts of the city, whereas others would consider the suburbs to be a small or large town that's about an hour or so away from the city. But even lastly, the suburbs could also mean a very small remote town where there is tons of farmland and wide open area. But no matter what you consider the suburbs to be, you can find your perfect suburb area here in the Philadelphia metro area. All right, so the next thing that we have to talk about is the commute and the overall travel options. A lot of people that are moving here are either fully remote workers or they need to commute into one of the largest cities that are surrounding us, either Philadelphia or New York City. Depending on which living option you chose from the first point that we went over, that would determine your overall commute time. But the great news is that as the suburbs continue to grow, the transportation options continue to grow as well. Just about every area within the suburbs is relatively close to a train station. So if you needed to commute to one of these large cities or even another town within the suburbs, that would be very possible by train if you didn't want to drive. Another option for commuting would be by the bus, which is actually relatively new in the Philadelphia suburbs. We've only ever really seen buses right on the outskirts of the city, but over the last couple of years, there's been a lot more bus stops added all throughout the area. So pretty much wherever you end up living, there might be a bus stop pretty close by that will take you to, again, any of the towns throughout the suburbs, but also directly right into the city. Now, obviously, ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft are also very available, but keep in mind that depending where you end up living, you could be an hour or more outside of those cities. So it's not very common for a rideshare driver to have the accessibility to drive an hour or 2 into the city, so plan accordingly. All right, next up, we have to talk about the cost of living throughout the Philadelphia metro area. Obviously, there are over 100 different towns throughout the 4 counties, so just a general blanket cost of living would be very difficult to do, but just know that with all of those different areas comes a wide variety of different cost of living options. So depending how low or how high you want to go, there's an area for you. When I assist clients that move out of the city and into the suburbs, they are shocked at how much more their money can get them out in the suburbs, but also more privacy as well. Let's say in the city, you'd be buying a condo for $500,000, whereas maybe you could get a large single family home on a half-acre plot of land or even more out in the suburb area. The cost of living in most other states, but more specifically the 2 cities surrounding the suburbs, have a lot higher cost of living than this area. So no matter what your affordability level is, there is a perfect spot here for you. You get a lot more bang for your buck here compared to the major cities, but you also end up saving a lot in taxes. Philadelphia has a real estate transfer tax of 3.27% of the sales price, which is typically split between the buyer and the seller. But now the counties that surround the city actually only have a transfer tax of 2% total, which is split by the seller and the buyer typically. Just because you're going to live outside of the city, you not only get more bang for your buck when it comes to buying a home, but you also end up saving so much more just in taxes alone. Throughout the entire state of Pennsylvania, the sales tax is 6% except for major metro areas, such as the Center City, Philadelphia area. Then the sales tax is bumped up to 8% as opposed to 6% throughout the entire state. If you're planning on living in the suburbs but commuting into Philadelphia to work, you should know about the wage tax. Anyone who works within the city has to pay this tax, but the good news is that if you don't live in the city, the wage tax is a lot less compared to those that live and work in the city. The next topic that we're going to talk about is the school districts throughout these 4 counties that make up the Philadelphia suburbs. The school districts here are actually one of the things that we're most known for, because out of the top 15 school districts throughout the entire state of Pennsylvania, 7 of them are just in the Philadelphia suburbs alone. The average teacher to student ratio is about 14:1, which is a tremendous ratio, especially for public schools. Not only are these school districts so great for students, but also they're some of the highest rated schools for teachers as well. But if you would prefer your kids to go to private schools, there are tons of highly rated private schools all throughout the area as well. Now let's go over what is there to do around here. There are plenty of towns throughout the suburbs that are very well known for the walkability that they have, because the streets are full of different shopping and dining options, as well as bars and tons of different entertainment as well. We have so many amazing parks and lakes here, so if you're outdoorsy and like to hike, there are plenty of different options for you. It really depends on the specific area that you personally end up buying a home in, but overall as a whole, the suburbs aren't really known for much of a nightlife. If nightlife is very important to you, I would definitely suggest to just travel the short distance right into Center City, Philadelphia, and you will have all the nightlife that you can imagine. The next topic to tell you about are the winters. The weather here can get pretty crazy sometimes, but there's 2 specific things that I really need to tell you about when it comes to winter time. Number 1 being that just about everything freezes at night during the winter time. So if you're an early commuter, just know that you'll need to warm up your car for a long time in advance, for the most part all throughout the winter. Also keep in mind that that also means that the roads will be very slick as well, especially on those snowy mornings where it freezes and then it snows on top of the ice, which can be very dangerous. So if you're an early commuter and you're driving, please be careful on the roads. And number 2 would be the overall road conditions that we have here, especially during the winter. Besides the icy roads, we also have to take into account all of the potholes that we have here. We have some of the worst potholes throughout the entire country right here in Pennsylvania. So if you're driving, please be aware that that little bit of pothole is probably a foot deep pothole that could crack your rim very easily. So please be careful when driving. So those are the things that you need to know before moving to the Philadelphia metro area. If you're thinking about buying a home here, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. All of my contact information is below. To find out some of the best and worst areas within the Philadelphia suburbs, watch this video here next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.